Secretary, roll call.
President Olaf Landsguard.
Here.
Vice President Dennis Shingles.
Here.
Director Byron Glennan.
Here.
Director Ed McKay.
Here.
Director Russell Williford.
Present.
We all stand for the pledge of allegiance. Dennis, you care to lead us in the pledge?
John, make the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Just to see how many
Next
people
item up is approval of the agenda.
Second.
Been moved and second, we approve the agenda. I'd ask that item CC3 be removed from the consent calendar and put down as new business number 3. The reserve balances, because I discussed that. Put that, you accept the amendment? Put the agenda as amended? Yes. Yes. All right, all those in favor of approving the agenda as amended to move CC3 down to below NB2, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0. All right, Ms. Vienna.
Okay. This portion of the agenda allows an individual the opportunity to address the board on any item not on the agenda regarding district business. State law prohibits the district from taking any action on any items not on the agenda unless authorized under section 54954.2 sub B of the government code, and your matter may be referred to the general manager. An individual may also address the board on any agenda item at the time the matter is discussed and prior to the board's consideration or action. Speakers will be limited to 5 minutes. Your time will start when you approach the podium, and you will be given 30-second warning before your time expires. If you choose to ask a question during this time, any response by the board will not extend your time. Questions may be referred to the general manager to be answered at a later time after the meeting. In order to allow for a smooth and orderly meeting and allow each speaker the ability to address the board, disruptions from the audience will not be tolerated enthusiastically. We appreciate your cooperation in this time.
Okay, next item is public comments for anything that's not on the agenda.
I got a real nice comment. Brock, I want to thank you and the other workers because you responded expeditiously to my request of checking my meter today. And I want to thank you guys for that. Very professional.
So they finally turned it on.
Well, they turned it off. They put a bypass. No, I'm just kidding about that. Thank you, Brock.
The next item is minutes. Item M1, approved November 7th, 2017, regular board meeting minutes.
Second.
Moved by Mr. McKay, seconded by Mr. Singledecker. Any discussion? Any additions or corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries 5-0. Next item is the consent calendar. Motion on CC1.
I'll move on CC1, CC4, and CC5.
Move on CC1, CC4, and CC5 that we approve those items on the consent calendar, including the check voucher register dated 10/31/17, 11/27/17, and the cash balance is October 2017. The cash balance is for September 2017. Seconded by Mr. Singledecker. All those in favor?
Aye.
5-0. We have item number CC2. Mr. Singledecker, I have to leave the room. Has to deal with paying a bill to Carl's Hardware, which is owned by my brother and my sister.
Can I get a motion for CC two?
So move.
Second.
Any discussion? Comments? Call for the vote, all in favor?
Aye.
4, 1 abstain.
Okay, that brings us to the next item of business, public hearing, PH1, Parks and Recreation Ballot Initiative. Item A, public hearing regarding the adoption of resolution number 2017-20 to establish a qualified parcel tax. We'll start with a brief, I guess I have to open first I got to open the public hearing then, is that right?
Correct.
And then, okay, oh, no, first I start with a brief presentation from the district staff, and then I go to open the public.
Open the public hearing first, please.
Okay, all right. Reopening the public hearing at 7:06 PM. And we'll start with a brief presentation from district staff, Mr. Smith. Probably Smith, that is.
Thank you. The resolution you have in front of you is for Rosamond Community Services District called for a mail ballot election for approval of a special parcel tax. This is to fund the district to provide parks and recreation service. Currently, we operate Williford Park with CSA 63.5. It's funded by approximately 1,000 parcels. It's not sufficient for the ongoing maintenance and operation of these parks, and sending this out to ballot would give the community a chance to vote on funding these and give us a chance to provide better parks and recreation service.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Smith, Mr. Glennan?
I really appreciate the article on the paper. It really laid it out very clearly. Again, thank you.
I have 2 comments. I was going to ask the attorney if she will explain to the audience the portion of the 3% tax is not in violation of the top 13.
Sure. Proposition 13, which is a provision of the California Constitution, applies to ad valorem taxes. What is before you for consideration and action to send to the voters for their vote and determination is rather a parcel tax. It is not governed by Proposition 13. It is instead governed by Proposition 218 and other applicable laws.
Then I have a second question. It says here, whereas the parcel tax must be applied uniformly to all real property within the district except the unimproved property may be taxed at a lower rate than improved property. What section of the law is that found in? You know, parcel tax should be a parcel tax, regardless of whether there's something on it or it's not.
That is found in the governing law for this this type of an action, and this is government through Government Code 50075 and following. If you want precise citation, I will have to look that up for you.
Okay, no, that's fine. I can look it up.
Mr. Williford, any questions from district staff?
No, I just got a comment. I think we should pass it so that we can put it out to the voters and let them make up their decision on whether they want this tax. I personally, I don't know if I can say it, but I'm going to vote for it because I think we do need more parks and rec in the city, or township, whatever you want to call it. We are growing. It's 10 times bigger than what it was when I moved to this town, and we still have the same amount of parks. We need to add. And it's not just because my family name's on it. I don't think my father was very involved with the youth in this town. And he would not have wanted his name on the park for any other reason than just to take care of the kids. She was involved in 4-H, FFA, the roping and riding, Little League, just about anything.
Boy Scouts, Kiwanis.
Boy Scouts, Christmas party at the downtown. But,
Do you ever get to pay Santa Claus?
no, he made me do that. And that's another story we won't get into.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Mr. Siegeldecker, any questions for the district staff?
No.
I just had one quick question on the, well, one specific question is, first of all, everything is in order from legally, we can vote on this tonight, and there's nothing.
There's no legal impediment to proceeding tonight. Is that your question?
That's my question. No,
There is none. You are free to act.
All right, and you've done a fine job, the staff is putting together not only the full text of a local funding measure, which is lengthy and looks like there's a lot of work put into that. There's already a parks measure ballot argument. And I guess I guess we congratulate on working so hard and getting that together, number one. But number two, I guess we have the accountant here. Have you looked at the numbers on this? Is this something you've worked on at all?
The side that I've been most involved in is managing the outflow of cash, because there hasn't been much of an inflow. That's been most of my experience with this initiative. General manager and other staff and I have had philosophical and theoretical conversations about it, but the financial side has really been presented by NDS and Mr. Smith.
And I think everybody in the community has some here. Go ahead.
It's come to my attention that this district bought a lot of equipment for the parks, and yet we don't see it around here. Do you know what happened to it, Mr. Smith?
We still own all the purchased equipment for the park, including the lawnmowers. There's a John Deere Gator, which is a utility cart, a trailer, as well as tools, supplies. Those are all in stock in the Public Works building still. At this time, we contract out the mowing and the edging of the Williford Park. Prior to that, we used the equipment that was purchased for the park.
All right, I'll open up to comments from the public. I think that's the right order here. We'll check.
Yeah, you're appropriate to open public testimony now.
Okay.
We gotta go up to the podium?
Yes, if you would, please. You don't have to state your name, but if you would, it'd be
Ken Hagan, I'm a taxpayer, live on West Park. You just said you farmed out the maintenance or the lawnmower?
Yeah, we contracted out the mowing and the.
Effective when?
I don't have that date in front
Has
of me.
that been real recent, within the last month or so?
Probably the last few months.
Okay.
Beginning of this year.
Because last time we saw it, and that's been a few months, that the trailer you mentioned needed a lot of work, reboarding, which is a simple thing. Because, you had a hazard right there. Getting to the future parks. Based on a grade scale, I'd have to give RCSD an F for the maintenance of Williford Park. No disrespect to your father, okay? But they've proven they couldn't maintain a park. This gentleman here, Mr. Wrights, has came here repeatedly and given you guys action of what needed to be done. Without public saying what needed to be done, nothing was getting done, other than the pool being open once a year. Okay? That park's supposed to be open 24 hours a day, or 12 months of the year, with the exception of the pool. But it was supposed to be being maintained. It wasn't. So what makes me think that you guys can maintain more parks in the future, based on the past? We had a skate park right over here on the corner, but it was school park property. That thing was trashed at least once a week. It was always trashed when it went by. Okay? And you want to go into the park business? Stick with the water business. Stick with the sewage. If we ever become an incorporated town, then we will have a city's works. But we already got a Parks and Rec. It's called the county. Okay? We don't need to have an activity center. We got Chamber of Commerce building one on Diamond Street. We got a lot of conflict of interest, or not conflict of interest, but we had a lot of redundancy going on here, okay? That little park over there is great for that one little establishment, West Park. And then we outsized it real quick. But it was always open to the public. It's not being maintained. There's safety hazards all over it, okay? All over that place. Tree stumps, and I brought it up for over a year. They're no action. You got 20-something-year-old green covers, you know, utility covers, cracked. A little kid could, you know, we're lucky that nobody's broken an ankle, okay? I just was informed that there was a tree limb that fell off from a healthy tree. But we got dead trees out there with dead limbs. Something needs to be done. And we want to go in and we want to spend money, have a, you know, I love for the taxes to be lowered on this. Okay? Because my tax rate right now is 130 something. I'm a West Parker. We pay 130 something a year. Down to 119 would be great. Okay? But I want an assurance that we're going to have it taken care of. You're going to have to hire more staff to do this. You're going to have a planning commission. Well, how much did it cost for, what is it, Brent to come here and do his 3 or 5 visits? You know, he had 3 meetings and he was here at least 5 times. You know, that was thousands of dollars because it wasn't in the hundreds. You know. What assurance do we have? Right now, like I said, if we had to grade it, it's an F. We do great with water. We do great with sewage. Can't say much about street lighting. Okay? I can't say much about graffiti because I can see graffiti all over town, you know. But when it comes to the park, it's pathetic. And then to use this money to pay off past loans, let's make it very open to the public what they're getting into. I don't agree with $90-something a parcel. I think it should be lower. You know, the people that live here should be paying. The people that have investment and own property shouldn't have to be paying. No, not until it's, you know, improved. But if you want to do it, at least $20, not $90-something. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thanks.
Brock, you're doing a great job.
Any other public comments?
Yeah, my name is Pan Patel, and, you know, I knew your dad, Jim. You know, we got a call, I involved with Rosamond Chamber of Commerce. Somebody said, we can't even take a shit in that toilet. It was so dirty. I don't think your dad would be happy. If you guys cannot maintain the park we have, how can we give you? Have you guys seen that dedication for Tommy Loomis Park? That was green. Let's go look at it today. You guys can't even maintain 20 by 40 lot in your yard. How can we give you permission to do that? You guys had a United Park. What'd you guys do? Get back to school. Can't even maintain that. Why should we give you more money to do more park and rec? You know, we don't want to give you any more money because that's proven, like he said, that skate park, $100,000, gone. That equipment, David Hernandez said, let me have that. So he could do something so he could have people, I mean, kids of Rosamond, he could put them in right track. They wouldn't even give it to him. Something that gone to trash. I don't know what happened to that equipment. Do you know what happened to that equipment? $100,000? Why should we keep giving you money for things like this? I mean, United Park, you guys were maintaining. What happened to that park? Couldn't maintain? Give back to the school district. I'm sorry. I don't think this town should support you guys for anything unless you prove that. Just take a look at that park, like I said, you know, Tommy Loomis. I drove by there, made me sick. I was there when dedication was happened to him. It was green. Today's nothing there. Thank you very much.
Any other public comment?
Yeah, look at that.
Where's the park?
Right here, 20 by 40, they have free.
Okay,
I'll
Mr.
show you.
McKay, you wish to respond?
Yes.
He's sick.
This is for, again, for the attorney. On page 6, there's 3 items
I'm
that
Lewis,
says
right?
that repairing and maintaining under the existing park, keeping the pool open for the community and providing new park facilities for Rosamond. On this parcel tax, can they build facilities or does it have to be a bond to build facilities?
They can be used to it allows for new facilities.
Pardon me?
It does allow for new facilities, yes. Providing new park facilities for Rosamond. Yes.
Doesn't require a bond.
I can't say whether right now, whether a new park facility in the future would require a bond or not. We have not put anything close to enough detail to a plan together for that. Is it possible that a bonding mechanism might be used to finance the development of a future facility? Yes, but that would come to this board for consideration.
Okay, but I thought a tax was used for maintaining what we have and a bond was used to provide for new facilities.
You can do it that way, yes.
Well, there's enough money in there to build a small item without, if you're gonna build a
Correct.
rec center or a huge community center, obviously there's not enough money to do that, you have to get a bond.
I was just saying new park facilities.
Yeah.
New park to me is you're gonna build a new park, and I don't think you can do it with a parcel tax. I think you have to have a bond to do that.
No, I think the budget that we put together for the first year, and I know Mr. Monson's not here, clearly allows enough money for $800,000 to put the park and ride that we need to put over on 25th, for example. That could be done. Put in, you can pave something, maybe get some matching financing to do that, but you could certainly do little things like that.
Some things you can do.
Park and ride, certainly a dog park, that's not gonna cost a lot of money. You can do a quote-unquote park, the dog park, it may not.
You don't need a dog park. You got a whole desert out here.
But yeah, those things can be done.
It doesn't have to be done by a bond, but it could be. That's the best I can give you right now.
Okay. All right. Any other further public testimony?
Can I go up again?
Yeah.
No?
Okay. There was an article in today's paper about trees with Palmdale. Okay. Brock, you might want to seriously read that article because we do have a hazard over there. I'm done. Thank you all.
Any other public testimony? You can cut you under 5 minutes. All right. Do you have, I'm going to close the public hearing as of 7:23. Move to item B. Adopt resolution number 2017-20 calling for a mail ballot election for voter approval of a parcel tax. Moved by Mr. Glennan.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Williford. Okay, discussion? I wanted to have a little discussion to kind of respond to what the public had to say there. So, first of all,
I'll let you respond.
because I hear some tired responses out there that the people who have access to rights, frankly, Mr. Patel, I understand you own a lot of parcels and you're going to be paying a little bit more than the rest of us will be.
I don't have a problem paying more.
And
Things get done right, but things not getting done
I
right.
got the floor. I didn't interrupt you. Please do appreciate it. You didn't interrupt me. The United Street Park, as everyone knows, that was given back to the school district for a couple of reasons. One of them is nothing to do with this board here. We came on after that was given back. This board is the first thing that Mr. McKay did was realize that too much money had been borrowed and started to figure out a way to pay that money back. If you saw our audit from last month, Mr. McKay and Mr. Shingledecker were on our finance committee. That resulted in us spending 10% less money than we had budgeted. 10% less than last year overall in this whole district. We also took in enough money to start filling reserves and bring our community service district out of debt. So we've been doing quite well thanks to the fiscal management, firm fiscal management of this board, particularly Mr. McKay and Mr. Shingledecker. Number one. Number two, if you went on related to the skate park was eliminated long before we were here. My recollection of the skate park, however, is a little bit different than yours. I think that was fully operational until it was torn down, and the people were using it all the time. respect to what we're voting on here is to actually allow the community to take control of our own destiny. It's time for us to step up to the plate, and it's going to be painful. But this allows us a chance to take control of our own destiny. It allows us a chance to actually plan for parks. You can't do what needs to be done with even a small park system with no money. It just can't be done. And the county does have the other park, and they're usually parks way at the bottom of their list of financing. And it's certainly not going to make its way all the way out to Rosamond. So if we want to be in control of how Rosamond fares, it's us to up. It's us to up. It's up to us, pardon. It's up to us to go ahead and take control and handle the pain and go forward. It's not going to be easy. Is it the best way of doing, and the fairest way of doing a parcel tax? No, it's not. But it is the most effective way, and it is the way we have available to us. And that is one of the things I hope when you take out the community, if this resolution passes and it goes on the ballot, that you take that into consideration, that it is time for us to step forward. And we can no longer lay in the shadows here. This community is growing up. We need to address that. Anybody else want to?
Yeah, there's two reasons I'm going to vote against this. And the first one is because it's open to all voters. I think the property tax goes to property owners, and I think the property owners are the ones that should be voting on this, not everybody. And the second reason I'm voting against it is the 3% ride that you're going to put on there, because it's just going to grow in perpetuity. It's not going to be $119.
Would you want to reduce that from 3% to 2%?
I'd reduce it, period. 0. You got a parcel tax, you got a parcel tax.
Would you vote for it to reduce it to 0?
No. I already told you the reason I won't vote for it, because you got the wrong people voting on it.
Anything else from the board?
This goes all the way back to when parks was given or assigned to RCSD with no funds. And ever since then, we've been trying to figure out a solution. This is the solution. If you say no, then we get out of the parks business. It's that simple.
The solution was when the people said yes to allowing this district to have the parks and no to the money, you should have never borrowed $2.8 million to fund it.
That's all in the past.
I understand that.
This is where we are.
Simple as that. People say no, and we're
We're still paying that money.
This is where we're at right now.
We're gonna work hard to say no.
And if you don't want it, you need to encourage others.
I will.
to say
I'll
no.
put up my money and make sure that it's not bad.
Any other comments from the public then? Yes, sir.
Question for Brock, I don't know if you can answer it today, but approximately how many people would it take to bring up the parks? How many more people are you gonna have to hire? And then factor in, the CalPERS, the medical, and then if they wanna do the future park, okay? Now, we could put a skate park in, I say we, there could be a skate park right here on this property right now. All they have to do is pour the cement. You got the equipment stacked up out there, right?
They're all
Is it
trash.
maintained still?
No.
Or is it beyond repair?
They're all trash.
That's arguable. Could be repaired, but I don't think it would be.
If they're
to
trash.
use that equipment.
100,000 is trash.
I couldn't give you an answer on how much staff.
No,
it would
they're
take
But it's
on a
gonna
park.
have to be
No,
you're gonna have to open up and hire more people.
But in order
They are
to,
trash.
in order to maintain these parks, we need dedicated funding and we need dedicated staffing.
Right.
They are trash.
But approximately how many people would it take just to operate West Park properly? Just West Park, or Williford,
Well,
excuse me.
one of the things the problem with us having people who are licensed for water and licensed for sewer, which are very important things to make
Right.
sure that they kept right. Riding a lawnmower doesn't make sense. If we get a dedicated stream of money coming in for parks, well, you can hire somebody who doesn't have all those certificates.
Well,
You
that's
don't
what the
have to pay
question
them all.
is, approximately how many people? What's it gonna cost?
Brock, how many people did we have prior
You had
to
probably
the
had
big
3
cuts?
brokers.
We had
would fix it.
three operators
Just
working in the
allow
field and we had 2 administrative staff members that worked inside the parks department.
And then what, the parks manager?
He worked in the field, the parks manager also worked in the field, so 3 in the field and 2 in the office. So five employees,
Five.
some of those part-time.
And that was just for Williford or Williford and,
And United.
how about the building they have on Diamond?
I believe we received that after we cut back on staff.
Remember?
Oh, yeah, that was
Like the YMCA or whatever it was, or?
the county had it. It was given to the county for the Boys and Girls Club.
The library.
Back over to the RCSD.
You know, we need an expansion of parks. You know, but we got one on one side, and we got one over here. You know,
Well, one of the things we haven't been allowed to do is really go out to campus.
and we didn't have much of a turnout in the meetings.
And talk out about what we actually hope to do with this, and then hopefully we'll get a chance to do that in 1 month.
And I sat right here in the meeting and I heard about the survey and stuff, but I never heard a number, how many people were actually surveyed. What was the number? I heard a percentage, but I could take 10 people and get 8 good numbers, and that's 80%.
Well, the people who do it are professionals, and
Well, I hope,
it's better.
I hope, but you know, professionals are supposed to be maintaining that park for all these years,
It's certainly.
taking our taxpayer money.
And you know, one of the problems again with maintaining the park is, let's get the money in, let's make sure it's taken care of.
But we've been identifying problems left and right, we don't see much.
Well, did we just put a new, cement,
Yeah, but it got cracked with about a week after, or a week or 2 after.
well,
We don't wanna tell you who cracked it, by what heavy equipment driving on it. But they got a sign with 3 or 4 letters, RCSD. I'm not gonna mention it.
all right,
And we've asked you to all go out there and walk the park to see what we're talking about.
We could do it together.
I think we should probably do.
Yeah, well,
The,
we asked that, what, 6 months ago, Mel? At least?
Well, I've been asking for 2 years.
Yeah.
all right, we're ready to move to, the issue before the board to adopt resolution number 2017-20, calling for a mail ballot election for voter approval of a parcel tax. It's been moved by Mr. Glennan, seconded by Mr. Williford. And I believe that's a roll call vote. Ms. Vienna?
Vice President Schimmeldecker,
No.
Director Williford,
Yes.
Director Glennan,
Yes.
Director McKay,
No.
President Landsguard.
Aye.
Resolution passes 3-2 with Directors Schinkeldecker and McKay voting no.
Okay, that brings us to new business. Approve the closure of the district office from December 26, 17 through December 29, basically the week between Christmas and New Year's.
Correct. Last year, the board approved this closure as well. Front office staff can take the time off using their vacation time, and public works staff has the option to take the time off or work on special projects. There's always somebody on call 24 hours a day, handle any customer concerns and water quality issues, to keep the back end of the district running here.
Okay, and people aren't watering their lawns that much during that time of year either?
Now,
Got a question in regards to that one?
Hang on a
Brock, is
second,
it?
hang on a second.
Okay.
The motion, I have a motion for Mr. Glenn, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Williford. Discussion?
Discussion, is there gonna be anybody to go over to the park and clean it up every day during that off period?
there will be public works staff working, doing normal operation, so you'll get the same service that you get any other day.
Yeah, you're well aware of the trash problem on a daily basis
Yes.
from the freeloaders?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
Any board discussion?
What you're saying is the district here will be closed after the 22nd and will not reopen until the 2nd of January.
Correct.
As far as the office goes.
Yeah, public works staff will still be working. Last year, we had 3 public works employees that worked the entire time.
Now,
They used to have a sign up there that said Rosamond Community Services District. Services means you're open.
How much business do we normally have during that dead week between?
That tends to be a slow time of year, and that's why we've done this in the past. Also gives employees a chance to take vacation that they may not otherwise have a chance to take. As far as handling customer issues, public works staff is still able to take care of most customer issues with the exception of taking
Is there
payment
gonna
or
be somebody
opening.
in the office if somebody comes in to pay a bill?
No, there would not be.
Well, and if someone pays a bill, and would they get credit for it at the time it's actually received in the mail then?
They can still drop payments in the overnight drop box or pay online or mail in their payments.
But it won't be accredited until somebody returns to the office.
If it's dropped in the drop box, correct.
Okay, that where, when we accept, we had too many complaints before, when it being dropped in. And then we can record it and they get late fees.
But there wouldn't be any late fees assigned in that time period or shut-offs in that time period.
Okay, so no late fees or shut-offs. With that understanding,
Now, would anybody be getting, would we be paying the employees during this time frame?
The employees that are working will receive pay, the other ones will be taking their vacation time. So there's no additional cost to the district.
good questions?
So you're saying you have 3 people on duty,
Last year, we had 3 public.
and you only have 5 people working. So those 3 be working, so it's you, John, Mr. Smith, and all the ladies be having off, because the 3 guys you only have be working, so the supervisors be taking off. That's what it sounds like.
I can't tell you exactly who's gonna be working this year.
Yeah, okay. I think the
Hopefully they won't have any.
community service up there
Too
sounds
crazy.
right.
Did we have any problems last year?
No problems last year, we're not gonna assign late fees or shut-offs this year. All those in favor of ND1, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Motion passes 3-2, and I believe the no votes were Shingle-Decker and McKay. Did I hear that right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, new business item number 2, allow the board of directors to attend the 20th annual State of the County Dinner and Address on January 31st, 2018 in Bakersfield. Something we've gone to every year, as far as I know, last few years. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved by Mr. Glennan, second by Mr. Williford. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Motion passes 4-1, Director McKay voting no.
Okay, then was this item CC3, reserve balances, October 2017. The reason I wanted that pulled from the consent agenda is a couple reasons. This is the first time we've actually had such an item as reserve balances ever on the agenda before. Number one, I don't know if you had a chance, anybody, to read that. It's been, of course, online. And Mr. Brian, can you explain what reserve balances are and how it is how we're doing on our reserve balances and what we need to do and improve in the future?
Sure. So, you know, the nerdy accountant came out at me in regard to this report, because when you build towards something financially, you know, you can talk about it philosophically and theoretically all day long, but if the money's not there, the money's not there, and you can't actually do the data analysis, both from a financial perspective and a policy perspective. This organization has fiscal policy in its administrative code in regard to the amount of reserves that it should have on hand, and those have been in place for several years, and they are they haven't been funded. There has not been excess revenue to fund these reserves. And if you recall, General Manager Smith brought to your attention that even though some of the connection fees that we were getting in were being used simply to pay the bills, to pay for operations. And we were kind of going backwards at that point. Part of the rate study that we did and that this last year was to help rebuild those reserves in the event of an emergency, or if you wanted to issue debt. Mr. McKay brought up the point of issuing a bond. We wouldn't even get looked at by somebody to borrow money from with no reserve and no revenue source. It wouldn't even be a topic of conversation. It wouldn't be possible. The other side of it is growth, obviously, for connection fees. The impact fees of adding new homes and developments need to be part of the reserve balances. And so that we can prepare for the future and have the money in place so that we are capable of doing the things that the board and the constituency want to do. So this report breaks out the 8 reserve funds that are laid out in the administrative handbook and the code. I've detailed them for you here in this report so that you can begin to see how we're trending, where we're going. We still have a long way to go. I'm pleased to report that several of the reserves that have kind of a minimum value and constraint are fully funded, such as our debt service requirements with Zion's Bank. You know, they loaned us about $8 million to do administrative projects and some other construction projects. We've been paying that loan back consistently. We've met all of our payment obligations. We haven't defaulted at all on that, but there's a requirement to have a certain amount of money in what's called the debt service reserve. That particular one is 100% funded. We've been able to rebuild the connection fee reserve back to 100%. But as you can see through the analysis, there's several that are 20% funded, 30% funded, 40% funded. And as we move forward, there are also some, as you can see, the operations and maintenance fund reserve in the parks is negative 77. We just have no money in the park fund, which is kind of right in place of what we're talking about in regard to the ballot initiative this evening as well. So it was important that the board be apprised, now that we are moving towards refunding these reserves and rebuilding kind of back to where we need to be, where we stand, the progress that we're making, so you're going to be seeing these on a regular basis. If you want to see them monthly, we can do that. If you want to see them quarterly, we can do that. If you want to see them once a year, we can do that. But right now, this is kind of the first opportunity that we've had from the staff perspective to put together an analysis of this degree and present it to you for your information, for the public's information, so that they can see where the increased rates are going. They can see what's being used. That's why we want to be fiscally transparent, accountable with what we're doing with the community's money.
Okay. I have a question for you.
Sure.
On the second page, you have Park Fund 05 and Park Maintenance Fund 51. One is 150,000, the other's 41,000. Where do these funds originate at?
The park funds, the reserve debt balance there is almost exclusively ad valorem money that we get from the county for it's a discretionary revenue that a prior board has dedicated to the park. The other piece, and major piece of that, is Quimby money that we've gotten from developers that's required to be reserved and put away. It's a restricted revenue that has to be put aside for park development. And then the Park Maintenance Fund 51 reserve of 41,000 has just been the accumulation of revenues from the prior CSA 63.4 and 63.6 that were restricted for specific use in those CSAs.
You know, the only problem with the reserve fund that I see is the fact that we can't control the board and spending. When I left this board along with Barbara Speed, Mr. Retzky, and myself, we left $12 million in 1996 in a reserve fund, and it got spent down to nothing through the years.
That's true, it did. And the reason that happened is because of, well, there's several factors, but one of them is because there wasn't a rate study done. Things just cost more. And there's inflation and prices go up, and we didn't have a higher revenue source.
Yeah, you had some general managers in the past that just like to spend too.
Yeah, that may have been the case. I wasn't here, and I couldn't speak to that.
And I guess the question of, anybody have input, we want to receive these monthly, quarterly?
I would recommend quarterly.
I was thinking quarterly myself as well.
Okay. Happy to do that. And if there's any questions in the interim, you know where I sit.
Happy to see that you're in recent.
Okay, it did say to, on the initial agenda to vote to approve it, but I don't think we have to take a vote on this, is that right, Mr. Smith? We have to vote on CC3.
It's on for action, so it would be appropriate to approve it, but the balances are what they are.
Okay, well, I guess I'm gonna present the question this way. Do you have a motion to accept the reserve balances as presented? Moved by Mr. McKay, second by Mr. Singledecker. All those in favor of accepting the reserve balances as presented for October 2017, say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Brings us to director's reports, comments, future agenda items. Mr. Glennan?
Director Kay and Singledecker, and I'm gonna just kind of touch on some stuff and hope I will touch on the same things they were thinking about saying. I went to the Monday afternoon JPI directors meeting with Ed, and I'll kind of leave that one up to him. And then Tuesday afternoon, I went to the Federal Affairs Committee meeting, and what was really interesting, this was just a committee and I was just an attendee. I wasn't a committee member. And on the screen was a picture of Mark Buehler and the Willow Springs Water Bank. And this was a Public Affairs Committee meeting, and I was wondering what was going to go on, and it stayed up there until they started the meeting, and then it was taken down. And so I saw Mark later, and he had made a presentation just before that about the Willow Springs Water Bank. But so we had the Willow Springs Water Bank presentation at Aqua for some people prior to the meeting that I went to. The meeting he went to, the meeting that was presented in was the Energy Committee meeting dealing with federal funding. And of course, that's what we're looking for, is some funding for the water bank. Wednesday morning, I went to a forum called Water Fix, and that's the Delta problem. There were 6 speakers, general managers and directors, and I'm going to sum up each one of them with one sentence. The first one says, "This is simply an economic choice. The state needs some fix." The second one said, "There is no real assurance that we'll get what we paid for." And I've heard that tonight. There's no real assurance that we put in this water fix, we'll get what we're paying for. The third speaker said, "We need something. The right project, the right time, and the right cost." The fourth speaker said, "There's got to be a balance between water conveyance and environmental safety." You know what that means. The fifth guy basically said, "Yes, we need it now." The sixth guy said, "No, there's no assurance we'll even get the water, even if it's put in." So you can see there's really a divergence of putting in the twin tunnels and all of that. Wednesday morning, I went to the state water plant, and they said repairing facilities, plus rationing, conserving, plus adding new regulations is not a plan for stability. And that's what we've been doing in California. We need to clarify our expectations, develop a plan for funding that involves the local, the state, and the federal government, and establish unity between local and state stakeholders. Then I went to one about Proposition 218 and how social media is key to 218 now. And I don't understand social media at all, but I know we did that quite a bit with the Parks program. Thursday morning, I went to the program on marijuana. You know, marijuana is going to be legal, or is legal now. There's no change to the workplace or to public use regulations. You can't smoke at work, and you can't smoke in the public. You can't smoke in the parks, it's against the law, it's still going to be against the law. you can smoke marijuana, but it has to be
There's no
in your
enforcement in
own
the park.
private, private things. And the three things I took from that, there was a policeman and a prosecutor that presented this. Learn from the past, do not get stuck in the present, and focus on the future. Then Thursday afternoon, I went to a groundwater replenishment. They said there's wet and dry extremes, and those are going to continue. Wet and dry extremes are going to continue. When we have a wet season, there's a potential for great recharge of groundwater in the basin. But do we do that? The answer is no, we don't. The water needs to flow from where it is in abundance to a safe storage area. Lakes, dams, and reservoirs have limitations, but water banks like ours do not have limitations. The water can go back in the ground in water banks. And then Friday morning, there were some speakers from the various areas, Orange County Canyon and Sonoma, Santa Rosa. They were talking about the fires and what their water districts did in relationship to the fires. It was very interesting, but the comment I came back from, I don't know if you noticed, but we have a catastrophic and emergency fund in one of our reserves. And that's kind of one of my questions. What do the citizens of Rosamond expect from RCSD, the sheriffs, the fire department, and the schools if we have a natural disaster? Do we have a plan? And I know we've got kind of a plan, but one of them in the Sonoma up there wasn't about 6 months ago. They did their earthquake plan. And it wasn't an earthquake, it was a fire, but it really made a difference, they said, because the employees went through the review of the earthquake procedures. There needs to be, I don't know who the community would go to, but the only entities are the schools, fire department, RCSD, and the sheriff's department. That's where people would be looking for their help, and we need to have something in place to make sure that we're there when that happens. Thank you for sending me.
Okay.
On November the 14th, I attended the AVAC meeting, and one of the things that was discussed there, the new laboratory that AVAC has. And one of the things that they were presenting to us, if we send something out to a lab, it takes 10 days before we can tell the people, hey, there's something wrong with your water. And by that time, it's already fixed. And one of the things that they're saying there, with their new laboratory, they'll be able to take a sample and turn it back to us in 2 days. So it's something that we need to look into, sending our stuff to the lab at AVAC and getting it back in 2 days rather than another 8-day wait period. One of the other things that they talked about, that they have banked over 101,940 acre-feet of water in the valley here for the future to help with the drafts, and they're not finished. They're trying to put in 200,000 acre-feet a year that they're bringing in and putting into their wells. Also, it was announced that the water allotment for AVAC for 2018 is going to start at 15% of their allotment. Right now, while we finish up here, it's at 85%. So next year it'll be down to 15%. And nobody understands why it's 15% with all the water that's sitting up in the reserves in the reservoirs. It should be flowing here. And my thing was, I said to somebody, I just hope they're not trying to steal the water and send it down through the delta for the fish. You know, they send millions of acre-feet down through the delta to provide for the fish. The farmer, they cut back on the farmer, they're going to cut back on the cities. You know, it's coming if we don't do something to get the water down here. And then I was on a Region 6 and 7 Aqua conference call, and there was a number of items we discussed, but the one that we spent the most time on is there are 2 bonds that are coming out that you're going to have an opportunity to vote on. And one of the things that I would say to you is look at the bonds and see if it's going to help you. If it's not going to help you, vote no. It's a waste of money. And then I attended the JPIA conference last Monday, and one of the things that I wanted to talk about there, and I asked the general manager to set it up for us, is JPIA is going to have a webinar this month on the changes in law for 2018. And I think it's something that each director should try to accomplish, to see that webinar so we can know what the laws are. And also I attended a sexual harassment prevention course that JPIA put on. And I'll bring up the things that happened in JPA in the afternoon on the first day at a later conference. The Aqua Conference, I attended a class on energy storage, and the title of it was "The Future is Now." One of the things that they were talking about at that time is energy storage. Edison charges continue to climb, and one of the things that they're doing is they're coming out, Tesla has come out with a battery, and also Mercedes-Benz has come out with batteries. What they do is they charge these batteries with wind or solar, and when the rates go up, you turn to the battery and reduce your electric bill. Yes, there's a cost to, buy the equipment, but over the long run, it's efficient and it brings down the overall cost of doing business. It was explained that the cost of renewable energy continues to come down, and so we see, the cost of panels, the cost of wind generation. I've talked to this district for years trying to get them to do what Palmdale did years ago and put up a wind generator. Now I understand, right where we are here, the Air Force doesn't want us putting up a wind generator because of overflights. But up at Dawn Road, it's not in that same area. We could put one up at Dawn Road. And when I talked to the people at Palmdale, I remember reading in AV Press that the first year of operation, it cost them, the paper said, a little over $1 million, and they got $900,000 back from the state the first year of operation. They pay for themselves. It's something that we need to look into to bring our energy bills down here at the district. The main gist was to use batteries, again, that are charged with wind or solar due to the high cost of grid energy. I attended a Water Master Advisory Committee meeting today, and no action was taken in any of the following areas, but they were discussed. There's a resolution number 17-09. This resolution will be used to file a motion with the Superior Court of Los Angeles seeking interpretive guidance on carryover water rights under the judgment and physical solution. There's a meeting tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. at AVAC for the Water Master Board meeting, and they'll be discussing these resolutions. The advisory committee normally advises, what was going to happen, what they think should happen, but we didn't do any of that today. And then there's an audit proposal that the Water Master expenditures for 2016 and 2017 were discussed. What they're trying to do is they're trying to find an agency that will do the audit for them. They've gone out, and a lot of the agencies said the amount of money that's being audited is too small and they don't want to mess with it. Okay, so they got to find somebody. The discussion items also included distribution of unused federal rights. There's arguments going on, the feds get so much water rights, and if they don't use it, it gets distributed out, we get some of it. But there are arguments over this right now, and so it's something else that they're going to have to decide. They also talked about imported water return flows for 2016 and 2017. The Water Master Engineer has the idea that imported water return flows shouldn't exist. And it's written in the adjudication, but there's no numbers assigned to it. It's something that has to be done, later when we look at it and we would calculate, like, Mr. Smith, Ron Smith has come up with the idea that we ought to look at what we did in 2011 and on, and look at for the return flows for those years there, okay? And also, they talked about the replacement water assessments. In other words, if somebody is out here and they're not in the adjudication right now and they want to sink a new well, they're going to have to pay for the water to replace. It's a water assessment fee that they're going to have to pay for the water that they're using. They have to bring it back into this area so that we keep the level where the court has come up with. And the water master engineer discussed the well application process. There's a number of, there's 19 wells that are people have put applications in for, and the water engineer is looking for, how to use the applications, how to justify granting the applications. So that's the end of my report.
You mentioned that on the well applications, did he mention whether he's approved any yet?
They have approved some, yes. They were approved for test wells and monitoring wells. And I believe there's one production well and one domestic well was approved because what it was doing was replacing another domestic well.
And there was some talk that there was some unallocated acre feet that was supposed to go to new wells. Is that new domestic wells for the overlying land use? Was that discussed at all?
No.
Maybe you want to bring that up as
I just, when you're saying that, it made me wonder, do they have any control of Kern County, wells being drilled in Kern County?
they do, they're in adjudication.
So, if somebody wants to drill a well inside of our district and they're far enough away from our lines that we grant that, then they not only have to have Kern County's approval, they have to have our approval and the water master.
Yes, right. One of the other things that I've read the agenda, it indicated that the water master wanted to take the position that there is no pre-ramp down period for the public agencies such as ours. We have to start ramping down
That's coming up tomorrow.
100% starting January 1st.
That will be discussed tomorrow. That's when we go back to court.
Yeah, okay.
I did miss one thing.
Go ahead.
I wrote it here and I missed it. Don't forget, Thursday, December 7th is what? Pearl Harbor Day. And my understanding, there's about 24, 25 Pearl Harbor survivors in the valley. And each year, it's going down significantly. So probably in another couple more years, we may not have a Pearl Harbor survivor that lives in Antelope Valley.
Okay. Can you remember that day? Pearl Harbor Day? Yes, sir.
I do. So, Mr. McKay, earlier we were talking about acre feet. I was curious, how many gallons of water are in 1 acre foot?
Something else.
Okay.
325,851.
325,851.
25,851?
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Williford.
Nothing to report.
Mr. Shingledecker.
Yes, I also attended the Aqua Conference, did the sexual harassment ethics training, and I think Mr. McKay and Mr. Glennan have already covered pretty much everything else, so I won't repeat it. That's all I have.
Just sex.
All right, well, my comment is, I don't know if we're gonna have a meeting before the end of the year, and I guess that's still up in the air, but in the meantime, we're getting into the Christmas season, of course, Merry Christmas to everyone, and happy holidays for the rest of the holidays. This Saturday, December 9th, at Eaton College, there'll be 47 singers of the Antelope Valley Master Chorale. I guess there's 12 altos, 11 sopranos, 12 basses, and 12 tenors. Of course, so it's going to be pretty good. So if you can make it down there, I'll have some flyers for you to check out. You can pick it up. It's 8 o'clock on Saturday night or 4 o'clock on Sunday. And want to get into the holiday spirit, that'd be a good place to go and get your spirits lifted. Okay, that brings us to our next general council update.
Yeah, 2 new pieces of legislation that are effective January 1, 2018. The first is a prohibition statewide against asking salary history during the hiring process, but public agencies such as RCSD are able to rely on publicly disclosed salary information. So the information available to the Secretary of State. That's AB 168. I'll be keeping an eye on it and working with staff on compliance. And AB 1008 prohibits California employers of all types from requesting or considering criminal history information until after a conditional offer of employment has been issued. If after the offer is made, criminal history is discovered, the employer must consider the nature and gravity of the offense, the time that has passed since the offense occurred, and the nature of the job in question before making an individualized determination as to whether to rescind the offer. If there is a decision to rescind, they must provide a preliminary withdrawal notice and provide 5 days for the applicant to respond before making it permanent. I, again, will be working with staff to ensure we comply.
Doesn't that interfere with the contracts, at least with the private industry?
It may well.
Article 162.
It may well. But that's what AB 1008 says. So again, I'll be working with staff to make sure we implement these rules.
All right, the Director of Finance, Mr. Rocco Brown.
Nothing further.
Director of Public Works update, Mr. Brock Smith, changing hats.
Leak season continues here at RCSD. Hasn't cooled down enough for the leaks to stop yet, so Public Works staff continues to fix leaks on almost a daily basis. We had one that showed up in the middle of the Christmas parade over the weekend, and we had to put it off till Sunday morning, so if anybody was there, you may have seen water leaking out of Glendower Street. Other than that, Public Works staff completed the installation of the new water line over at Williford Park. That's the line along the east wall, or the south wall of the park. That line was completed and the water's turned back on, feeding all the sprinklers at that park. And we continue to install master meters. Just today, we had almost 80 new meters installed.
80 today?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. How far away from reaching 100%?
Roughly 600 meters remaining. If they go as fast as they went today, it should come pretty fast.
Okay.
And Ken saw firsthand what those meters are capable of today. We can provide a lot of information to customers.
It's impressive, especially if they get the right size antenna.
The right size what?
Antenna.
Sometimes you have to park on the curb.
Brock, question in regards to the park.
Yes, sir.
You know, Milton and I both noticed motorcycle tracks out there, and I understand through a rumor that one of our employees, RCSD employees, caught an individual and spoke to him.
Yes.
Has law enforcement been involved in that?
They were informed. Yes.
Thank you.
Question for Mr. McKay?
Yes, sir.
The app for people being able to look into how much water they're using. Do you get any headway on that?
I've actually been in contact with 3 different companies that work with those apps, so gathering information. I should be able to provide more information in the future. All of those are based on the customer's internet, and it's something that our customers would have to purchase to get that information, because it needs to use their electricity and their internet connection.
Okay. Now, these meters that you're installing, can they be connected to where they can send information out?
Right now, the meters that are installed are all drive-by reads, so in order to pull that information, we have to park in front of the customer's house. In the future, we could upgrade to centralized collection. It's a software change, as well as with some of the meters, you have to change the register on top, not the entire meter, but the register that reads it. But they can be upgraded to that in the future.
And you can still open the lid and see if you have a water leak.
Correct.
Because there is a meter spinning,
Yes.
just like the old ones.
Okay, anything else, Mr. Smith?
That's all I have.
Well, it looks like there's nothing for the secretary to say. Is there anything else we go to the order?
Got a question.
Go ahead.
Sexual harassment, I heard it come up a couple times. What is the policy for RCSD and sexual harassment? Do they terminate an individual if there is sexual harassment and it's proven? And if there is a liability, do they pay out of RCSD money?
I think our counsel might be able to answer that question, but
Okay.
she probably would be able to give the answer anyway if she could, so.
It is addressed in our administrative code, and it is handled in accordance with the code and California law, and beyond that, I can't speak to specifics.
But would the money come out of RCSD funds if there was a payoff?
Again, I can't speak to any specifics on any case.
Is there any history?
None that I'm aware of.
Okay, thank you.
Wouldn't it be covered under by our insurance?
At any rate,
And that would depend on the specifics of the situation.
all right, we'll consider a motion to adjourn.
So good.
Moved and seconded, moved by Mr. Singledecker, second by Mr. Glennan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
5-0.
No, I'm gonna oppose it.
4-1.
And then you can stay.
You should hear it very much.